Hello student, welcome in our 14th lecture. In the today's lecture, we are going to discuss the stationary phases for the gas chromatography. Student, in the previous lecture, we have seen the columns and detectors which are used in gas chromatography. So capillary column and packed columns are used in the GC, then electron ionization detector, flame ionization detector and thermal conductivity detectors used in the gas chromatography. This part we have already seen in the previous lecture. Now in the today's lecture we are going to discuss the stationary phases used in the gas chromatography. So this is the content of the today's lecture. The stationary phases for the gas chromatography, then stationary phases for the packed column and the capillary column, then deactivation surface, that means after separation how we clean the stationary phase, that is nothing but the deactivation of the surface, and the last point, that is the partition coefficient. These points we are going to discuss in the today's lecture. Now we will start with our first point, that is the stationary phase for the GC. The function of a stationary phase in a gas chromatography is to separate the different components in a solution, causing each to exit the column at a different time. That means what is the function of stationary phase? It separates the different components which are present in the mixture at a different time interval. Okay, although it is referred to as a column in a gas chromatography, the stationary phase is contained in a long thin coil tube. Okay, then we see the classification of chromatography based on the stationary phase. Chromatography, it is classified according to the stationary phase. In the gas chromatography, the stationary phase can be exist in two forms, that is liquid or solid. If we use liquid stationary phase, then it having two types, that is gas liquid chromatography, and the second one is adsorption of solute onto a liquid coating on a solid. If we use liquid as a stationary phase. If we use solid stationary phase, then gas solid chromatography, and the second is physical adsorption of solute molecules onto a solid. This method is not used much except for the few small molecules which are separated by this method because the tailing due to the non-linear process. That means by this we observe the tailing during the separation. For that, very small molecules are separated by using this physical adsorption method. In the gas chromatography, the mobile phase which carries the compound through the stationary phase is always a gas. The name itself, gas chromatography. So mobile phase is always gas, and that mobile phase carry the compounds through the stationary phase. Okay. Then this is the characteristics for the liquid stationary phase. Good characteristics or the ideal characteristics for the liquid stationary phase. It must have low volatility, high decomposition temperature so that it's heat stable. It is chemically inert, chemically attached to the column as to prevent the blending. Okay. Then our second point of the today's lecture is column stationary phase. Means which types of column has which types of stationary phase is used, that we are going to discuss here. The first is the packed column. For that we use a liquid coated silica particles which having a diameter greater than 100 to 300 micrometer in a glass tube. Best for the large scale application. This packed column, it is most commonly used for the large application, but it shows the slow and inefficient result. Okay, large scale, for the large scale it is used, but it shows slow and inefficient result. Okay, while in the capillary or the open tubular column, it having two types that we have already discussed in the previous lecture: wall coated and support coated capillary column. So in the wall coated capillary column, the thickness, it is greater than 1 micrometer thick liquid coating on inside of the silica tube, while in the support coated capillary column, the inner thickness, it is 30 micrometer thick coating of liquid coated supported on inner side of the silica tube. Best for the speed and efficiency, but only small samples are used. Sorry, it is best for the speed and efficiency as compared to the packed column, but here the very small quantity of samples are used. Then we see the next, that is importance in choosing the stationary phase. This part we have already discussed in the previous lecture. In the first frontal analysis, illusion analysis, this part we have already discussed. We are going to discuss again here. The chemist must choose the stationary phases carefully because it is the relative interaction of the mixture's compound with two phases. One is the stationary and the second is the mobile phase, that determines how the efficient the separation can be. If the compounds have no interaction for the stationary phase at all, they will flow right throughout the column without separating. And if the compounds are too strongly attracted to the stationary phase, they may stick permanently inside the column. That means if the interaction of the compound with the stationary phase is strong, then what happens? The compound, it is strongly adhered on the stationary phase or permanently stick on the stationary phase inside the column. It is not removed by mobile phase. And if the stationary phase and the compound, there is no any interaction, then what happens? It will flow throughout the column without separating. Okay, so it is the importance in choosing the stationary phase. Choosing a stationary phase means, continue this slide. Related to the chemical nature of the solute and the stationary phase, we must have the different retention factor for each solute in the mixture. The retention factor, it is nothing but is the measures of the time the sample spent in the stationary phase to the time spent in the mobile phase. This K must not be too large or the small. Okay, means how much time the compound spent in the stationary phase and how much time compound spent in the mobile phase, that is nothing but the retention factor. And this retention factor, it is not too much large or small. It is in proper value. Okay. Then we also, during the choosing the stationary phase, we apply this rule also, like dissolves like rule. Means if we use the polar solute, means our compound is polar. That means if that compound contain alcohol, acids and amine, such a situation we need a polar stationary phase. That means it having CN, CO and OH group. Okay. And if non-polar solute is there, that means saturated hydrocarbons are there, we need a hydrocarbons like a stationary phase or dialkyl silane type of stationary phase. And if our compound is intermediate solute, means it is ether, ketone or aldehyde, it needs something in between. Means then depending on the nature of solute, we are going to choose the stationary phase. If the polar solute is there, then we use polar stationary phase. If our solute is non-polar, then we use a non-polar stationary phase like dialkyl silane type. And if our solute is intermediate, means somewhat polar, somewhat non-polar, then at that time we use such a types of stationary phase. Okay, it is clear. Then we see the different stationary phase. There are 6 common stationary phases are applicable in 90% of the application. So out of that 6 common stationary phases, some we are going to discuss here. The most stationary phases are based on polydimethyl siloxane or polyethylene glycol. This is the backbones. So they are shown in the right side. This is the polydimethyl siloxane, while this one is the polyethylene glycol. These two are the polar stationary phases. Polarity of the stationary phase can be changed by derivatization with the different functional group. Means these two stationary phases are polar. We are going to change their polarity. We are derivatization means we react with the different functional group. Then the polarity get changed. For example, phenyl groups we are introducing here, so the polarity get changed. Okay. In the next few slides, we are going to discuss some common stationary phase. Here the first one is polyethylene glycol. The ethyl glycol functional group make this phase considerably polar. If we use this type of stationary phase, then that stationary phase are polar stationary phase, and such a phases are used to separate the free acid, alcohol, ethers and essential oils and glycols. Okay. Then the second one is polysiloxane. It is also the most polar phase introduced here, used to separate the polyunsaturated fatty acids, free acids and alcohols. Means this polysiloxane, it is the most polar as compared to the polyethylene glycol, and it is used for the separation of polyunsaturated fatty acid, free acids and alcohols. Okay. Then sometimes the bonded and cross-linked stationary phases are also used. This bonding and cross-link is used to form a chemical bond between the stationary phase and it support the column. This prevent the blending of the column and it makes the stationary phase more stable and long lasting and necessary to the commercial column. So bonded and cross-linked stationary phase are stable stationary phase. They are long lasting, they prevent the blending of the column and they are necessary in the commercial columns. Okay. So up to this point we are see the different stationary phases used in the gas chromatography. Then after that we see the deactivation of surface. Means after separating the compound, that stationary phase it is deactivate. After deactivation we can use that stationary phase again. So how the deactivation of the stationary phase or how the deactivation of the surface takes place, that steps are here. First, we place that stationary phase in a clean test tube or screw cap test tube. Cover that test tube or cover the stationary phase with one normal HCl or HNO3 solution. Soak for at least 8 hours or overnight is preferred. If the acid solution is highly decolored, replace with the clean solution and continue to soak until no color change is needed. It is clear? If we soak that stationary phase overnight, and we observe that if the acid solution is colored, then replace that HCl or HNO3 by the another clean solution and continue to soak until there is no color change is needed. Do not soak stationary phase for longer than 24 hours. Okay, rinse or wash with deionized water followed by methanol, and after that dry the stationary phase at 100 to 150 degrees Celsius. Do not exceed 150 degrees Celsius. Decomposition may takes place, so that we use 100 to 150 degrees Celsius temperature. The last point of this today's lecture is partition coefficient. Partition coefficient, it is nothing but here the definition is there. It is the ratio of concentration of substance in one phase or in one medium, that is C1, to the concentration in a second phase, that is C2. When these two concentrations are at equilibrium, that is nothing but the partition coefficient. Here is the formula is given. Partition coefficient is equal to concentration of substance in organic phase, that is C1, to the concentration of substance in aqueous phase. Then we see the movement of the molecules from one phase to the other, it is called the partitioning, right? If immiscible phases are placed adjacent to each other, the solute will distribute itself between two immiscible phases until the equilibrium is attained. Therefore, no further transfer to the solute occur. When the substance is added in the excess quantity in two immiscible solvent, it distributes itself between two liquids phases so that each become a saturated. Okay student, you have to remember the definition and the formula for this partition coefficient. This partition coefficient, it is determined by the different methods. It can be measured by the following method. The first one is a shake flask method, HPLC method, and the third one is computational determination of log P. So we are not going to discuss this method, we are only introduce the method which are used for the determination of the partition coefficient. So out of these three methods, you are very familiar with this shake flask method. This shake flask method, it is nothing but the extraction method. You have already done this in the practical also. Separating funnel, in that we place two immiscible liquid. So we place that separating funnel constant. So two layer get separated. The lower layer having higher density. So we can easily separate the two immiscible liquids. So that is nothing but the shake flask method. Okay. So it is very familiar to us. So these are the three methods used for the determination of partition coefficient. Okay student, with this we complete the lecture. In the next lecture, we are going to discuss the application of gas chromatography. Okay, thank you.